Welcome to Aesthetic Academy, the only school that won't put you in debt, but probably won't help either. If you have no clue what's going on, don't worry, neither do the instructors. Now, get out your art supplies and quit eating your paint because class is in session.
Welcome to the Aesthetic Academy podcast. I'm Tap.
I'm B.
And we'll be talking about executive detachment. I don't know what that means, but...
But we will be talking about it. Those tickle me. I love that. So B, what are we talking about today? Well, besides executive detachment.
This week, we're learning a little bit about finding your people. So, like, finding good art communities, art friends, stuff like that. Finding art mentors and learning to take critique. And a little bit about art college. Is it a good thing? Is it worth it? I don't know. We'll find out.
So I'm ready to jump right in, because the finding your people thing is a thing that is big for me. And I think that actually has to do a lot with art college. But I have found that there is nothing that helps you with art more than being surrounded by people who enjoy art and find like positivity in it. Because like we all have that meme, right? That meme of like of like, oh god, I hate drawing hands, or like, oh, I'm doing art, I want to die kind of thing, you know? And that's fine and well, like it's good for like a funny goof, haha, but it can kind of become taxing sometimes when you have people that are constantly negative about it. So like find people that hype you up and like want you to do good and want you to succeed, you know? I'm not talking to people who are just constantly sugarcoating everything and being like, oh yeah, this is good because, you know, whatever and stuff. But like being like find somebody that you can have an honest conversation about art with, or somebody who's like really passionate about it or anything. And when you surround yourself with those people, you'll find yourself getting out of like art ruts and stuff and being like, I want to do more art, you know? Like it becomes more enjoyable, I think.
Yes, and the reason I kind of really want to talk about it a little bit, because I think originally when Tap was starting out his art journey, he was like going up to his friends, you know, like going up to the mom and dad with a piece of like colored crayon art and being like, "Mommy, Daddy, look what I made," and they would just be like, "Cool, sweetie. Yep, fridge." Anyway, and Tap and I were talking about that because you want people to, like, other artists usually hype each other up because from our perspective, like, a lot of things can be hard and like learning new stuff is cool. Like, say it, like, for any other hobby, that is true as well. Like, let's say, like, Warhammer 40k, a lot of people, like, don't know what goes into that process. Like, especially, like, painting all that small detail. So a lot of people just see the finished result and they go, like, oh, cool, look at it for 30 seconds, call it a day. But, like, artists really, like, zoom in there and we're the scientists. We study all the microbiology of art. We put it under the microscope.
I do have a friend, and I'm gonna say this, I'm not gonna put him on blast, but like in the very beginning, they were like, I support you doing art. That was the extent of it, was just saying that like once and being like, you're okay to exist, I guess. Like there's literally, I'm trying to be like, hey, check this out, like this is really cool, like I'm really enjoying this and I'm really passionate about it. They're just like, uh-huh, sure. I asked them if they wanted to like check out my streams or anything like that, and they're like, I just don't really like watching art streams. So, and I was like, that's fair, but it kind of bummed me out because I was like, I want my friends to be there and to be like hyped for me, you know what I mean? But it's unreasonable to expect them to like, God, yeah, if they're bored watching art streams, like I'm not gonna make them sit there and watch my art stream. When you have like friends that you can, other art friends and stuff, and people who are like, whoa, that's turning out like so good, and I love the way that you do like your sketches and stuff, like it can become a lot more enjoyable and a lot better, you know, like experience for everyone involved.
That's true. That's why it's important to find your communities. So how do you go about finding an art community? Tap, how did you find yours?
Well, I hung out with B, and then B was like, hey, there's this person Mint that I think is really cool, and then I started hanging out with Mint, and I was like, thick, cool art friends. So I just kind of Kool-Aid manned into it, but you know, I don't know how y'all go about finding communities.
Min, how did you find yours?
I don't know if I actually ever really had like a community. I just did my art stuff and that's it. Like back in the DeviantArt days, then I did join like those like role-playing groups where you like created like your characters and such, and I made some friends then, but it wasn't like really like a deep friendship, so that like kind of fell apart as soon as I stopped using DeviantArt. So like like it wasn't anything like special, and basically B grabbed me by the throat and spat in my face, and she said, "I'm your friend now."
It's true.
And I'm like, okay. And that's it.
It's true. I did follow them in, and I saw they were on Twitch, and I was like, finally, my chance. My opportunity.
So I guess, God, wow, yeah, for both of us, it was just like B made it happen. So B, how did you find your community?
Well, back in the olden days, the DeviantArt days, yeah, I agree. Like, it was a lot of, and still the way that fandoms are today. Like, you find people, like, through fandoms that like other stuff that you do. Because I feel like right now, especially the way that, like, social media is, it's very hard for other artists to find other artists. I mean, on Twitch, you could look up by art and talk to them in, like, real time. But sometimes that just doesn't pan out. I think it all depends on the artist. Because, like, sometimes, I was gonna say, like, they have, like, kind of, like, an ego complex, but that's not, like, true with, like, majority of them. I feel like it's very rare, but sometimes that can turn people off. I think that's true with, like, every genre and form, though. There's always going to be that people. But it's just, like, mainly, like, finding people that you like and forming a bond with them. Like, for me, a lot of artists were drawn to, like, this YouTube channel that I watched. So I made a little community for it, and it blew up, and everybody would, like, talk to me, and, like, I would see, like, a lot of artists' good stuff, and it kind of, like, spiraled from there. So kind of doing the stuff you love will attract people that love it too, and you can form friendships in there, especially in the art community. Because, like, in college, sure, you'll make a bunch of art friends doing the same things as you, but I feel like it goes the way of, like, all school things. Like, they'll be the friends you keep and the friends you don't. So it's good to find people like-minded as you are. So, like, join Discords, post your stuff, talk about the stuff you love, because especially with, like, Discord and Twitch, you're able to talk in real time, which is nice.
Do y'all ever feel really awkward, though, when there's, like, a Twitch streamer that's doing a Twitch streamer doing art, and there's, like, 1,000 people watching them, and you're trying to, like, say something? I guess it's like a notice me senpai kind of thing, you know? Where you're just like, hey, I really like the way that you do this, and, like, I'm curious about, like, where you picked up that rendering technique, you know what I mean? I'm one voice in 1,000, and it's going so fast, and, like, they're never gonna notice, you know?
I kind of get, like, put off when, I mean, it's gonna sound, like, quite bad, but, like, I do kind of get put off by if I see, like, someone streaming and there's, like a lot of viewers, and I'm like, well, this is not, like, going to be a person that I can, like, interact with. Like, it's simply, like, not possible. Like, the stuff is just going to go past so fast. This is just going to be a person that you just watch. So I don't necessarily feel awkward because I don't put myself in that situation.
Well, that actually helps. That helps me feel less crazy then, because I'm like, God, yeah, because it's the same way. It's like when there's, like, thousands of viewers, I'm just like, I don't know that I want to be here right now. Like, I love checking out small art streamers, you know what I mean? Because you can usually have, like, that kind of conversation or like, get into a discussion and, like, find out what they love about, like, their art. And I feel like the bigger ones, a lot of times there's this worry about just doing, like, the production, like, having the viewership value, you know? I'm not saying, like, you know what I mean, like, that they're just doing it for the views or anything, but, like, at a certain point, like, you're putting on a show instead of having, like, a little chat with your community, you know?
I don't necessarily know about that. I mean, maybe, but, like, I know, like, from my personal, I mean, I guess, quote-unquote view is that if I see someone who has, like, a lot of viewers and the chat is just going by so fast, then I simply won't I simply won't participate in chat. That, like, for me personally, because I don't see then a point if, like, even if you want to, like, talk to some, like, other chatters, it's still just gonna go by so fast, so it's like, well, it doesn't matter. But yeah, I do prefer to, like, watch, like, smaller streamers or, like, smaller artists.
go to the smaller streamers. That's where the heat's at. But yeah, just look out for like-minded people. Put your stuff out there, then people will come. Because I think we've made a lot of friends on Twitch. I say a lot, but I mean like a couple. Like on Twitch and Discord, especially. It's a lot easier to find your people when you're having something to chat with real time. It's kind of like art Tinder, I guess.
You know, I was just thinking that, but I was like, I'm not gonna say it. It's gonna sound stupid. I was gonna be like, man, we need like an art Tinder. But like, goddamn. Yeah, I think that the relationships and like friendships that we found through Twitch in the art community have been probably some of the most like lasting ones that I've had. And I think you're right. I think it boils down to like being able to interact in real time and stuff. But I don't know.
Or maybe you do know. And you're just holding out.
I mean, I was basically just reiterating what you said and saying like I agree.
Yes, B, I understand the topic.
I am a good boy. I am participating.
Yeah, it's a lot like any community participating, being active, basically. And you gotta put yourself out there, like with your art. You gotta put your foot in the door, and you never know what will come of it. That's
the other thing. We talked about art senpais, right? So, do y'all have any art mentors, and how the fuck did you find them?
Nope. I'm a lone wolf.
You're a lone wolf. Nobody teaches you nothing. Fair.
Well, mostly like when I want to find something, I will go out on like YouTube. But like the most like main people in my life, of course, were like the art teachers, I guess, prescribed, for lack of a better term, by like high school and college.
Okay.
Because I had Miss Finlinson in high school. She was amazing. I've had a few in college. The only one that I can remember the name of was Dan something. I think I showed him to you and we did like research and he called himself like erosionist or something like that. I found him. His name is Dr. Erosion.
Yeah.
Yes. I knew it was something erosion. But this is the type of stuff he does. So he's like very like collage-y. He does like the painting and then he uses a technique where like you print off a picture and then like you basically Mod Podge it and then like wipe it off and it leaves back like a ghost of an image, which is fun. Recommend. Highly recommend, but he was awesome.
I can definitely see a lot of like inspiration of your stuff like from that. Like in particular there's a piece that you did where you have like two hearts stitched together and it's got this person's vibes like kind of touched to it.
He was an awesome art teacher. I think all the art teachers were pretty awesome there. The only person that sucked was like an English teacher.
I don't know that I necessarily have any art mentors. Which again, like saying that always feels kind of like asinine because you're like I learned everything on my own, and that's not like I didn't learn everything just by myself, right? Like I picked up books and stuff, and like I checked out like other artists and things like that. But I've never had somebody that like does like a one-on-one kind of thing in terms of like me viewing them as like my mentor, you know. But I will say I did learn a ton from my community, so I think the community at large for me is my mentor, and like the more that I do little like teachy dealies or like talk to people about like what they're into and like why they do the things that they do, the more like I pick up off of people and learn art in general. And I know that's not necessarily like a specific art mentor, but like talking to other artists gives me way more insight than like watching a YouTube video or you know, picking up a book or anything like that, because I can get like the technique and stuff and get the gist of it, but like actually having conversations with y'all and being like, oh, that's cool, why do you do that? And then you like start going off on like a passionate tangent of like, oh yeah, I checked out this artist and I really like the way that they do this, and like it gives a deep insight into like what exactly you're picking out of these other artists, and being the outside looking in makes it so that I can kind of comprehend it a little bit easier. In reality, like my art mentor is all y'all.
Oh, babe.
Oh, What about you? You got any art mentor?
Well, not really. I mean, my mom has always been like the art mentor when I was like younger, but a lot of the stuff I basically taught myself, like with would be said like through YouTube videos and such. So yeah, basically, I guess then the entire art community is then basically my mentor.
I know a lot of people have gotten um like specific art mentors, like they will actually reach out, and I know if you've ever seen their YouTube channel, Love Life Drawing, the dude that runs that he has a YouTube channel with his actual art teacher. And there's a lot of like ateliers and stuff that you can actually reach out to and, just be like, hey, are you currently teaching? And then you go join up. And it's like, you don't really need to go to an art school. You can always find somebody's like studio, and a lot of times they'll have positions where they're taking on like apprentices. They'll teach you a bunch of stuff. I know Psychra talks about they had an art mentor that like they're just ran an atelier, and they just showed up one day for doing, I think it was figure modeling, like they were the model for the study, and then they just ended up like picking up art and stuff like that from there and like joining them, and that's how they paid for their mentorship, is by doing the figure modeling and posing and stuff. I mean, if you really want to, like if you really need that like one-on-one with a person, and somebody to do like red lines and stuff like that, you can always like just ask an artist and be like, hey, I really like the things that you do, like do you mind giving me some pointers and stuff, and like just go from there. I mean, don't be mad or anything if they say no, because like a lot of times artists have a lot on their plates, but every once in a while you might find an artist that's just like, yeah, I'm down, like I'll let you know.
I agree. Definitely, like, one-on-one is a lot better for learning, for sure, because a lot of people learn differently, and I think, especially more of, like, recent years, people find that out more, that they're, like, studying that, like, a lot of people learn differently, like, there's visual learners, other ones that I can't remember.
Aural, kinesthetic.
So it's definitely do what works best for you. Like, if you can jam on a YouTube video and pick up what they're putting down, hell yeah. If you need that one-on-one, do it. Like, don't let us tell you what's right or wrong. Just do it. You know you best, so do the things that work for you.
Hell yeah, Shia LaBeouf, you tell him.
Is there something in the woods? It's Shia LaBeouf. There's something in this podcast. It's Shia LaBeouf. But yes. So a huge thing with like art mentors as well. Art mentors. Art mentors. They're coming for you. You're in our little art labyrinth now. But with finding art mentors, you're gonna have to learn to take critique. And I feel like this can be a touchy subject for some people, especially when we've talked about it in the past a little bit, when you're like trying to hide behind something either being a whip or that you don't take critiques. There's definitely a huge problem in the art community with unwarranted critiques, for sure. I've seen it happen because people naturally just judge. That's what people do. And it's kind of like the mentality like, oh, if you don't have nothing nice to say, don't say it at all. And I understand a lot of people like leaving critiques do genuinely want to help more so. And the comments that are more like, this is ugly, like shit like that. They don't give a shit. They're just saying stuff to say stuff. But when you generally ask for critiques, you have to accept what's coming, basically. So all of them are not an attack on your art or things like you're doing wrong. They just want to help improve your art. And it is generally up to you if you decide to take the critiques or not. Because sometimes, like, the critiques could be like, for the example we've used in the past, like, high school teachers telling you not to draw, like, anime. And only draw, like, realistic. Yeah, it's like what you do with red lines, but they do it right then and there.
Well, I mean, as with anything, consent is 100% important. Like, I think y'all were talking before about, like, art teachers that would just start painting on your pieces and stuff like that. That's insane to me. There's also this belief of, like... So, a big issue with critiquing is that a lot of times the people that are giving the critiques don't have the vocabulary for it. Like, if you're not a big part of the art community, you can still give critiques because you have eyeballs. Like, you know what I mean? If something can like feel wrong to you or feel wonky and you can't necessarily put your finger on it. And so it becomes kind of difficult. And then the other side of it is that people think that you need to do this like compliment sandwich thing of critiquing, where like you say something bad or like you say something nice and then you say something bad and then you say something nice, you know? And I think that's so disingenuous and it's like such kind of bullshit because like sometimes there's just not like not that the piece isn't bad or anything like that, but like sometimes you just don't need to like tell them anything of like, hey, the colors you used are nice, you know what I mean? Like you stumble around trying to like focus on what you can say that's nice about the piece that you aren't able to even get your point across. There's a difference, I feel, between giving a critique of like, hey, this looks like a kid drew it. Like that's not helpful. If you give a critique, they say like constructive criticism, right? So like say like, hey, I've noticed that your lines are a little bit shaky. Here's some exercises for like improving line quality and like line confidence and stuff like that, right? And like when you say that, you haven't like done this compliment sandwich, but you're not being an asshole. You're just being honest, you know? And it's easy sometimes I think to take that as a insult or like a slight, to be like, you think my lines are shaky? Like fuck you, dude, you know? But that's where like executive detachment comes from, is the ability to separate your ego from your work and just kind of accept what it is, because the biggest way to like learn and improve is to be able to accurately and honestly assess your own work and be like, what did I fuck up? Because a lot of times you'll see a thing, you'll be like, I don't want to flip the canvas because I know what's going to happen.
Yes, there's always room to improve, and I think even the masters never stop learning. And if you feel like I'm the best of at art, there's nothing I can improve on, usually not the truth. Because I think I've seen a lot of people who are like arguably like not bad at art, like but also like not super realistic style. Like it kind of depends. Be like, I've already mastered my craft, I'm done now. But there's always something like you can improve on or just research. Because a lot of people, especially like recently, especially with like Spider-Verse coming out, a lot of people are taking inspiration with that and learning like that animation style and what they're doing to make it look like that, because they're taking inspiration. They're like, oh, that is so cool, I want to implement it. Like I could be doing stuff like that. And they're just kind of like jumping one thing from the next, like using our term yoinking. Just keep yoinking and yoinking and yoinking. There's going to be endless possibilities to add to your art. And who knows, like before, like when we were talking about mediums, maybe you try something different than you haven't before and you really like it and you end up just permanently implementing it to your own art. Any mint put?
No, I mean, I agree with everything. I also, at the same time, I am kind of against like unsolicited art critiquing. I just think that like you do put your art out there, and I guess you need to like expect that there are people who are going to critique it, but at the same time I find it like bad etiquette to just start giving like unsolicited advice. And because you know, you like, if I post something, I deemed it good enough for what I can do at the time, and then if someone would come along and just say like, oh well, your color balance is off, or like, yeah, like what Tab said, like your lines are shaky or something, I would be like, okay, well, thank you, but I'm not gonna change it. Like it's there now. Like, okay, I can maybe think about it the next time, but I didn't ask. Like, you know, I'm willing to improve, but it's like, okay, well, what do you want me to do about it? Like, you're like, like, I'm not asking you, you're not paying me to do this thing. Like, I posted something that I deem good enough. I just find it like extremely bad etiquette. Unless if I would ask like, okay, like this is not working how I not working out how I want to. Any tips, then yeah, go ahead and give all the advice you want and all the feedback. But
Yeah. And that's what I was saying too, is like consent is absolutely key. Like I feel like, especially with social media, everybody out there gives fucking unsolicited critiques and everything. And it's like there's different levels, I feel, of artists, right? And I'm not saying like good, bad, like that kind of thing, but what I'm saying is like somebody who just wants to make a piece versus somebody who's doing it like educationally and trying to make it into their job, right? And when it comes to giving them any sort of critique, even when they're like asking, it's important to know the context of what they're looking for, right? Because I'm not going to start breaking down color theory and stuff in someone's piece if they're just like, I just wanted to draw something pretty, you know?
at the same time, like on social media, more often than not, it's just like the critique that they're giving is just to bring the artist down. It's just to like have something to say. Like it's like a phenomenon that I see like on TikTok a lot, that someone posts an art piece and then someone is saying, like, that reminds me of like the thing that there was like this whole TikTok trend talking about like faces that are like easy to draw and faces that aren't easy to draw, and then Pedro Pascal his face is like very easy to draw and Zendaya's face isn't. And then there are artists who are then drawing Zendaya's face, and it looks great, it looks fine, it looks like her. And then there are these people are saying like, it still doesn't look like her. Like, you didn't do it right. It doesn't look like her. It's just to like, I don't know, to basically bring the artist down, just to like say something that comes on their mind. I don't know, maybe I'm now coming off as aggressive, but like it's something that I have noticed, that someone makes something and then the comments immediately are like, like the color isn't good, just to say something.
Oh yeah, no, I don't think you're coming off as aggressive at all. I think you're entirely right in that, like, there's a huge group of people who, because it's easy to judge something, right? It's really easy to like just say something is bad and not do it, and like not to like be like Butch Hartman where it's like you're not allowed to say anything if you haven't done it, you know what I mean? But it is absolutely a thing where people will go around and they'll try to belittle people to like just put it out in the world, just to be like, hey, I like seeing my own comment on like a thing, so here you go.
Yeah, people just like to be noticed. That's literally basically it. They just like to say things, comment things, because like we all want to be part of the conversation, essentially, in some shape or form. But sometimes I guess it kind of goes back to like, don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all.
Okay, but I'm gonna hit you with a question then. So, negative comments, absolutely, right? You see them all the time and everything like that. What do you think about the etiquette of somebody chiming in and giving like, not necessarily a compliment to your piece, but saying like, oh, your piece reminds me of X, right? Where do you guys stand on that? Like, is it rude? Is it fine?
Like the comparing?
Yeah.
That really depends.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I think it varies, like, hey, your stuff reminds me of blank. It's like fine to me, but stuff being like, oh, this looks like blank. Like, this looks like you took it. Like, essentially, like, it has like that undertone of like, you ripped this off, you know? But the other one kind of was like, oh, it looks like you took inspiration from this. Nice and sexy. The other one, you stealing little thief, you get back in your cell, your filthy little art cell.
Because I've seen people say that that's one of like the biggest insults that they receive, is when people say that like their art reminds them of another artist, and I'm just like, I don't know where people stand with that, because like usually when I compliment something, I usually only try to like pull in a ton of stuff and be like, oh, this is really cool, like you've got, you know, the like way that you're rendering the light and stuff, it like comes out really well, and like you've got a great understanding of like color theory and and like a mastery over like, you know, finding your colors and things like that. But I know that I have done it before where I've been like, oh, this piece like reminds me of Monet or something like that, or like Mike Matisse Mestra or something like that. Like, yeah, that's really cool. Like you know, this piece, and then you get people who are like, why would you say that? You know, like because it's a good artist and you're a good artist, you know.
I don't know. I don't think it's like necessarily offensive, but you see it a lot that when it comes to like creating like an original character, if there are then people seeing like, oh, this character reminds me of this already existing character, and then it's like maybe low-key offensive to because you're then making then the implication of like, oh, like you stole that character.
Gotcha.
I guess. I mean, I don't know. I have never had anyone say that, oh, this reminds me of this artist, and me getting offended about it. I don't know.
I have experienced the thing with the OC because my little guy is an ink demon, and for the longest time I had people constantly going like, oh, like Bendy? I was like, what's a Bendy? And what do you mean? And when I looked it up, I was like, oh my god, I just made Bendy. Like, I'm so fucking devastated. Do I just make a new character now? You know?
But the thing is like nothing is original.
Yeah.
Nothing is original. Like my sea slug character probably looks like a bazillion other things, but I would absolutely hate it if people would keep mentioning it, because like my sea slug character is completely original to me. Like I completely came up with it myself. I didn't like look at another character and took bits and pieces of it. Like that's like a completely like my thing. So if then someone is like, oh, this looks like that character, kind of implying like, oh, you kind of like took inspiration from that, you kind of stole it, and it's like, no, I came up with it myself, I swear. Yeah. And then if they would then keep going at it, then I would just be like, okay, well, please just fuck off.
Yeah. I do think I brought up in one of our Batman streams that it kind of reminded me of, like, I was wondering if you did take inspiration from one of the characters, and you were like, I don't even remember them, but oh my god. And I was just like, I felt so bad. I was like, oh no, I thought this was like a cheeky little thing.
No, but like, you know, it in a way, like, it is like not necessarily offensive to me, but like the assumption of like, oh, you took inspiration from this. Like, it's like, well, you don't know that. You don't know that.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know like my art journey.
See, that's why I always phrase it as a question instead, where I'm like, oh, is this what you meant to, you know? Unless it came off completely the other way, and like I was just, like I pissed you off or something.
No, but if it would be like, you know, a thing that if people would keep repeating it, like, oh my god, is it like these characters? Like, I have never watched that show. I think that was like from Batman Beyond or something, and I have never watched that show. And if people would keep saying like, oh, did you get inspiration from that? Then it's like, no, I swear I didn't. Like my character isn't original, and those characters aren't original. Like, just like, can we just like coexist without having to pretend that I ripped it off or something?
I think I still, to this day, anytime somebody comes into my stream, I get somebody mentioning Bendy, and it kills me a little each time, because like I keep having to be like, no, hello new person, no, I'm not Bendy, next.
But it's also like the same when you're like, I don't know, drawing in public, and you're drawing God knows what, like you're drawing a random person, and then someone comes and looks over your shoulder and they're like, are you drawing yourself? Is that you?
Oh.
I think it's just the same thing.
Yeah.
It's the same thing, and it's just like, yeah, no. Anyway.
It's, you know that it's that same motherfucker too, who's just like sitting there being like, they're missing an eye. And you're like, I'm getting to it.
I haven't drawn it yet.
And then it's the same person who's like, oh, can you draw me?
Oh god, you're so right. You're so right.
I literally, like, my brother-in-law, like, my sister's boyfriend, like, when I was still living with my parents and they would, like, visit, and I was, like, drawing on my drawing tablet, and it's like, oh, you're drawing? Like, can you draw me? And I'm like, well, if you pay me, like, I'm not gonna do it for free. And it was every single time that he came to visit. Every single time he kept asking, and I'm just like, no, I don't want to fucking draw you. Like, leave me alone.
Each time you ask, the price goes up.
Yeah.
God, I honestly, I haven't had to deal with that person, really, of the, like, like, hey, will you draw me kind of thing, which is kind of a blessing, because, like, then I don't need to deal with that, like, person or anything like that. But I have had to deal with people that, like, when I'm drawing, they start giving suggestions of, like, what to change and, like, how to do it, you know? Where they're like, oh yeah, it would be cool if you did, like, this instead. And I'm like, okay, but that's not the piece that I'm painting right now. Thank you. I'm just trying to vibe, man. Like, please, get off my ass.
Yeah, I think that kind of, like, circles back to, like, then the unsolicited advice and why I think that it, or, like, the critiquing, and why I think it's, like, such bad etiquette. Because, like, a lot of the times it's just, like, I want to make a piece for myself. That's most of the time what I'm doing. Like, unless it's like a commission or like something I'm doing for work, then it's free reign to get like critique on it because it's for someone else. But from the moment that it's for yourself, and then from the moment that someone then gives advice on it, it's like, I really don't care. Like, I'm tired. Let me just have this piece and have this piece be done, and then post it and move on. Like, this piece, it's over. I'm not gonna make like changes. Like, okay, thank you, I might apply your advice in the future, but I really didn't ask. I don't know, I just get, maybe I can't handle critique or whatever, but I hate it.
Yeah. No, I think that's different. I think that's different from not being able to handle critique, because it's like you said, it's like, who fucking asked? It's like, I'm doing this for me, please back off. And it's paved with good intentions, you know what I mean? Like, it's almost always somebody who's trying to be helpful, but then in your head you're like, please shut the fuck up. So I've had that too, where like you have a vision in your mind of where you want the piece to go, and every time somebody keeps like bringing up like, oh, what if you change it to like this side, or what if you do this, or what if you do that, you know? And I'm sure I'm guilty of that too, because I'm a goober and I like, you know, art and shit like that. But like, it can ruin an experience for someone, like, especially if you're just like, hey, do you want to art vibe, do you want to chill? You're getting people being like, hey, no, don't do that, do this, you know? Because you're like, well, you don't know what I'm doing, you don't know my art journey, you don't know what I'm gonna do. Which is, again, that's like the, like, find your art community, find your people. Like, surround yourself with people who are going to be like, oh, dude, that's turning out so good, instead of being like, yeah, that's okay, I guess, but what if you did this instead? What if I painted it? You know what I mean? Because I think it has that air of almost, like, I'm better than you, you know what I mean? And it can get, God, it can get frustrating.
Because I feel like you wouldn't do it for, like, anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if someone is, like, I don't know, decorating their bedroom, you're not gonna go in and be like, hey, I think you should put the bed somewhere else. While you, who is decorating the bedroom, is like, no, I want the bed to be here. Unless I ask, like, hey, I don't know where I should put the bed. You know, it's yeah, I don't know.
Well, and that's the thing, is that the person that does do that, we all universally accept that they're an asshole, right? We all universally go like, hey, that person that's telling you where to put your bed, fuck them, that's rude, right? But in the art community, we get this huge argument, this huge debate of like, well, you posted it online, so you're open to critique, you know what I mean? It's like, I mean, dog, for real?
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Do you guys hear the bike horn?
Oh, no.
Bring, bring. He has two. He has both the bring bring and the Hulk hog. He's well equipped to do his job. He actually wears like 3 bike helmets for the extra protection and like the knee pads and everything. But I think he's rolling up now.
I thought you weren't supposed to double wrap in.
Well, He wants to be extra safe. His mom's kind of paranoid, you know?
You're not supposed to double. He tripled.
Okay.
Yeah.
It cancels each
It
other.
cancels.
He canceled it out.
Oh, no. I'm not home. Tell him to go away.
No, he'll always find you. He always has the exclusive paint scoop. As always, I'm going to force Mint and Tap to pick the funny and pick the serious title that I made up, and they have to figure out what is what. Are we ready, fellas?
Yeah.
First one, Out with the Mouse. Second one, Consider Your Degree Snatched.
Oh, shit.
What could be the funny? What could be the serious?
Out with the Mouse, definitely about Mickey Mouse going into like public domain, something like that. And something art degree. Someone posted about their art degree, and then the university was like, actually, we're taking it back. I'm gonna say, haha, funny is Consider Your Art Degree Snatched.
Okay. I'm gonna say Consider Your Art Degree Snatched is the funny one.
So we're saying the same thing.
Yeah.
Agree.
Okay.
Final answers?
I'm sticking with it.
No, Out with the Mouse is the funny one. I'm sorry, I'm changing. I'm a coward.
Tap, you always do
No!
this. I tell you to follow your heart, and then you don't. And then you lose.
No.
But not this time.
Oh.
There is no but.
Oh.
Consider Your Degree Snatched is the funny one. Serious is Out with the Mouse.
Oh.
So the serious one. The real title is Art Spiegelman denounces Tennessee School District's ban of his graphic novel Mouse, as it has a breath of aristocracy and fascism.
Wow, so it wasn't a Disney thing. I was almost positive it was gonna be.
Nope, it is Mouse is in the graphic novel. For those who don't know, Mouse is basically a graphic novel that does talk about the Holocaust. And this Tennessee school went, actually, not for us. So basically, the Tennessee School Board has voted to ban the landmark graphic novel Mouse due to its profanity and nudity. Totally that. The book tells the true story of the artist's parents' indoctrination at Auschwitz concentration camps during the Holocaust. So the district's decision to censor the book is it because it has material inappropriate for students. Quote, it has the breath of aristocracy and fascism about it.
I mean, isn't it a graphic novel about how those things are bad?
Yeah, of course. But the 10-person school board voted on January 10th to ban the book, which has been on the district's 8th grade curriculum. So the Board of Educators decided the book's unnecessary use of profanity and nudity, and its depiction of violence and suicide.
Are you sure this isn't the funny one? Because they sound like a bunch of clowns. I was hoping you would do that.
We do not diminish the value of Mouse as an impactful and meaningful piece of literature, nor do we dispute the importance of teaching our children about the historical and moral lessons and realities of the Holocaust, the board said. To the contrary, we have asked our administrators to find other works that have accomplished the same educational goals in a more age-appropriate fashion, which sounds to me like we just swept it under the rug.
How do you make Auschwitz age-appropriate? Like,
yeah.
What are you saying, Tennessee School Board?
They also try to set it oh, there's some rough, objectionable language in this book, which extensively the debate of possible reaction there was 8 instances of swear words, such as damn, before the vote was taken to outright ban the book.
Wow. I can't believe they said the D word.
God, I know, right?
Even PG-13 movies allow you to have one fuck.
So, Tennessee is basically one of the 12 states that have passed the new legislation that restricts lessons that contain themes of race and gender, on the grounds of these are diverse concepts that might make some students feel guilty. I don't think guilty was the right word, but they put guilty. And then the article, of course, is just well, this isn't the first time that Mouse has run afoul to the censors. Because they did talk about how Russia has stopped its sale due to the swastika on the cover, and various Polish groups have protested the book because of its depiction of Poles as pigs. So basically in the article, they were just God damn, it says damn too much. Think of the children. Let's get it out of here.
I won't have them saying the fucking D word in my book.
Definitely not sweeping history under the rug at all. It's definitely not that. It was because it said damn.
How else are they going to convince everyone that the Holocaust didn't happen?
It's true.
Right. Oh, every day I get more and more disappointed in Tennessee.
It's no longer the 10 you see.
All right. So now that we've gone about as serious as we can, what's the funny one?
Consider your degree snatched. So the real title is School of the Art Institute of Chicago revokes Kanye West's honorary degree.
I love that.
So Kanye West had an art degree from the School of Art Institute of Chicago, and of course it was honorary. So on Thursday, which would have been December 8th, 2022,
Oh, that was recent.
the school announced that they're rescinding an honorary degree that had been awarded to the rapper and fashion mogul Kanye West in 2015. The School of the Arts Institute of Chicago condemned, and basically they were just like, well, talk shit, get hit, because at this point, you know, Kanye kind of went off the rails with like the anti-black, anti-Semitic, racist, and dangerous statements, particularly those directed at the Black and Jewish community. The institution said in a statement, Ye's actions do not align with the SAIC's mission and values, and we've rescinded his honorary degree. So the degree is basically the consequence for him going like anti-Semitic statements on both social media and a couple of the interviews on like Fox News, InfoWars, and other outlets. The SAIC's decision comes after a group called Against Hate at the SAIC posted a petition on December 1st calling on the school to rescind the degree. The petition garnered more than 40,000 signatures. Its original goal was 500.
Damn.
When West's honorary degree was first awarded, the school referred to him as an advocate for education and a thinker and a maker who often used his work to deconstruct the stereotypes and spur cultural discourse on important social issues. Which, of course, doesn't align anymore. If that was true, I don't know.
Hey, yo, Kanye, I'm gonna let you finish your fascist rhetoric, but I think that this art degree that you had is the worst honorary art degree of all time.
So we're taking that back. Regardless of his contributions prior to the receipt of this award, it is harmful to allow Yi, as he is presently known, to continue to use the School of the Art Institute of Chicago to help legitimize hatred and violence. This harm impacts the artists, designers, and scholars affiliated with the school and their values of justice, compassion, and free expression without hatred.
I feel like this is also a serious one, and it's just funny because we took away an art degree from Kanye West.
Yeah, that's basically it. That they were just like, you know what? Yoink.
You know what? Undegrees you're fascist.
I feel like it would be funnier if he paid for it.
Oh, I wish he had paid for it.
Yeah, but they were just like, well, here's some honorary degree. Being that, theoretically, if someone could become famous enough as an artist, can we just yoink that degree? What I'm saying is, can we get art degrees that we don't pay for?
You know, I'm gonna go ahead and print out myself an art degree and say that I have an art degree.
Who's gonna look into it?
Yeah, how are they gonna know?
How would they know?
How would they know?
It's more funny to me because it's just basically the talk shit, get hit.
Yeah.
Because a lot of celebrities usually don't fucking get consequences. Not that I don't think the degree mattered much to him, I'm sure.
But it was the symbolism of the thing, I think.
Yeah, for sure. But get consequence.
Oh, man. Oh, geez. I just spilled my coffee all over the art scoop. Weird that it's highlighting... It's avoiding this little section, this, Mint, what is that?
Oh my goodness. Oh me, oh my. Is this the birthday section? We want to wish a happy birthday to the Croatian painter, sculptor, printmaker, designer, illustrator, and scenographer Vasko Lipovac. I don't know how to pronounce names. I'm terribly sorry. He is born the 14th of June in 1931. And that was actually a really weird way of saying the year. 1931, not 31st, unless. He is mainly known for his minimalist figuration and color palette. I really love his work. I love how sort of naive and childlike it looks like, while still having like some mature qualities to it. It's very playful. Something that I would enjoy having in my living room, to be very honest. He passed away the 4th of July in 2006 at the age of 75, but if he were alive today, he would be 92. So happy birthday to Vasco.
Happy birthday.
More information will be in the description, so definitely have a little look-see.
Oh man, this I get what you mean. Like looking at it, like that it's got like this kind of innocence, but I gotta share this image with you that I just found of their stuff. It's so good.
Oh yeah, I feel like it's something that you would hang in a sauna.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's so, like, it's so goofy.
It really is. Like, it... Oh my god. Oh, I love that. I especially like her expression, too. Where they're just like, yes, quite. Indeed.
Yeah.
Right, darling, I'm giving it to you rather good. Yes, quite indeed, darling. I love these artists that you find. They're so good.
I am doing my best.
So I think the last thing we'll talk about... We mentioned printing off an art degree. And art degrees getting snatched. And I'm just realizing now that you probably did on purpose, you clever little minx.
It's true.
Wow. Now I feel silly. So, art college. Is it a good thing? Is it even worth it? Will you get your art degree snatched? Did you find value in going to art college? And I know we've talked about this before, where B, you went to the traditional art college, and Mint, you did like the more graphic side of stuff. And I know that's not entirely correct because I can feel it in my head. I'm saying graphic side and you're going to be like, well, not really, but it was like this side. So what did you guys get out of your college experiences?
From my personal experience, I think that I didn't make the right choice in college. A lot of the stuff, again, it is like the graphic design side, so it's not very artistic, and it doesn't have a lot of focus on creativity. The problem that I had is that I felt like for me the teachers were like kind of underqualified. Like they might know what they're talking about when it comes to their profession, but they weren't qualified to teach. So for me, I felt like it's kind of a waste. But it did have like a lot of opportunity to work on projects and have like sort of like connections with like places to do like internships and such. But yeah, a lot of the stuff I had to basically also like teach myself at home. Like if I had to use Illustrator and we had to do like certain tasks for Illustrator, you weren't going to learn anything about it. So you basically had to go to YouTube and look up Illustrator tutorials. That's my experience, but I don't want to necessarily discourage people for going to college. It's just, pick a good one. Pick a good college.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if the learning structure works for you that way, do it. If you're not someone who, like, aligns with, like, school, like, if you fucking hated high school, you're not gonna like college. It all depends, like, if that kind of structure work for you. Like, if you like the pressure of doing assignments and getting that kind of experience, do it. If you don't really get a lot out of it, don't do it. I feel like there's, like, a lot of information on the internet nowadays that you might not need it. Because I feel like with art, yes, you can get jobs without the degree. It might be, like, a little bit harder, because sometimes they like to see you, like, coming out of, like, Cal Arts or Sheraton and, like, stuff like that. They like to see those kinds of backgrounds, especially with, like, Cal Arts. A lot of them, like, get into the industry really quick, because a lot of them, like, look for the schools first. So it's going to be a bit more work for you, but it's not impossible. Like, you can do it on your own. Like, I believe, with, again, the new Spider-Verse film that came out, a 17-year-old animator worked on the Lego scene.
Oh, damn.
Wasn't it even younger?
Maybe. I know he was doing
Like, wasn't the kid like 13?
Oh, maybe. I thought it was 17, but maybe I'm thinking about something else. Give me 2 seconds to Google. Okay, it was 14.
Dang.
There is just something, when it comes to art, a lot of things is like more related to having a passion. And I find it like, it's so hard to, I don't know, to go to school or to get an education for something that you're like passionate about. I don't know how to explain it, but it's just that there is sort of like the risk of getting like a burnout or like lose interest in what you used to love, just the same as like kind of working for it. Like how we talked about in like an earlier podcast and went on like a complete tangent about all that. But at the same time, I don't want to discourage anyone. I think that if it's something that works for you, and then please do it.
From my understanding, what I've heard about art college, because I'm a huge proponent of like, don't fucking go to art college, you don't need it. But that's not, like Min said, we're not trying to discourage you, and I've been corrected by some people in the past in saying that like stuff like Cal Arts, right, is that they're not going to teach you passion, which you absolutely need. I feel, right, is that like it's one of those industries that, like you said, Min, you need a drive, and a lot of places can crush that out of you. And I think the biggest benefit of art colleges is that places like Cal Arts will teach you how to work in the industry, not necessarily how to work. Is that art colleges will provide you with a lot of opportunities and a lot of understanding of like how to go to like, you know, a meeting and present your work, and like what to expect when you're building like a portfolio and stuff like that. Whereas I feel like maybe going to an atelier, like an individual artist, and paying them to mentor you might be better for like actually learning and getting the passion, instead of going to like this big, you know, college that has a ton of stuff where they're like, look, we are trying to work on this and that and that, and like we're expecting you to know these things already, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's exactly like how my experience was. It mainly, the good things that it taught me was like how to do a project, like how to manage your project, how to track your hours, even though I am like completely against hour tracking, because it's really like individual, like it depends on person per person, and like why should someone who works slower be paid more than someone who works faster? But anyway, it taught me about project management, it taught me about making good presentations, it taught me about like how the industry works, and it gave connections to the industry. But at the same time, like when it comes to the actual, like the theory, that's something that you kind of have to learn on your own, I feel.
I would agree too.
Especially when you have a teacher who sits at the front of the class and then teaches us how to make a square in Illustrator, and that's the introduction course, and then the next time it is the actual course, and then we're still learning how to make a fucking square in Illustrator because there's people who decided to join a lot later and they have to like start from the beginning again, and then it's like, well, I might as well go home and just watch YouTube videos.
Oh no.
Go to like research the college you want to go to. Research and pick a good one if you're able, if you can afford, and if you're able to. Like, I cannot complain because like studying was free basically, plus my parents also supported me because I'm Belgian, I moved to Finland to study, and my parents basically paid for like a long time to live, and studying was free, so I shouldn't complain about the fact that it was kind of shit.
No, you still have the right to.
I mean, it would be crazy if I paid like what? How much would tuition be if I would be studying in America, basically until I'm bankrupt?
Yeah.
Then yeah, I would definitely straight up protest. But
if I didn't have financial aid, my college courses for just like basically half of what I went for would have been like 200,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so if especially if you're in like America and you've got like a shit school system, make sure you're going in for the right reasons and for what you're don't go into it expecting like to not know how to draw anything and then have suddenly people be like, here's your passion, here's your talent and skill and whatnot. Like they're not magical badges that people are just gonna give to you. Like you have to want it, you know, and you'll learn quickly that you can always ask people who've been to those colleges like what their experience was, and that's probably the best resource, right? Is like if you find like a streamer or something that's like I graduated from this art college, right? You can ask them, be like, hey, what was it like? It'll be like finding a recipe online, you know, where you're like, hey, I want the information, and then they'll tell you like a story about their family and how they discovered this tomato recipe. But if you stick around, you can like pick out bits from like their tangents and their stories and be like, okay, so this is, it sounds like what they're saying is like that they didn't really get a lot from this and that you could just forego it, or this is what they got from it, this is what I could probably expect.
At the same time, what I personally know about like art degrees is that you need already a lot of information before you start studying.
Mm-hmm.
Like you already need a portfolio, you already need to know your art history. Like you can't just go in there and be like, I want to do art. Then you might as well just go to like a, what do you call it, like something that you go to in the weekends.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
art course.
Yeah.
Which is like nothing wrong with that. Like that's perfectly like a good way to like learn art as well. But you do need to know your stuff already if you want to go to art college. That's why I didn't go to like the art side, because I don't know my art history, and like I have partaken in like the entrance exams. Like I assisted with it. Like I had to like let in the people. It was through video chat. I had to like kind of like manage the entrance exam video chat for that. And one, like the question is like, what, like who's your favorite, like can you name like a couple of artists? And if you're just like naming like Picasso and Monet and Matisse, then it's like, well, you're not really what we're looking for. Like we want to see like some more like local stuff, or like, you know, not just the mainstream artists. Like you need to really know your shit.
Go back there with all the artists you've done birthdays on and spit in their face.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just know that I wouldn't have gotten in if I would have gone to the art side. Like I don't know my shit.
That's interesting that they make you take like entrance exams for art over there, because like over here you pay and you're in. Well, for some things, like the courses that involve like animation and illustration mainly, they just ask for your portfolio. They don't really have like a whole like exam type thing, but you do have to pay for your exam for them to look at your portfolio. I think it's like $80.
Yeah, that's interesting, because first we had to do, well, I mean, that's like for the Finnish college. I don't know how it is in Belgium, because I didn't apply for any of the colleges in Belgium.
Mm-hmm.
But I had to do a pre-task, which I had to like write like a short little essay and make a little plan and make a graphic. And then when you got in, then you had to go to like the college and then do like a couple of interviews and like a test. And that's about it. I think now that they're doing it like through video chat, I think it's just an interview. I don't think that they're doing like an actual task anymore.
That's really interesting.
Everywhere's a little different. I think that about does it for this week, fellas.
Yeah. That was some good information. Now I'm like, damn, should I go to art college?
I suggest go to like a, what do you call it? Like a thing that you just sign up for it, and then it's like usually like in the weekends or like in the evening or something.
Yeah, I think they just literally call it an art class.
Yeah.
But yeah, we talked about this week like finding your people, finding art mentors, taking critiques, as well as art college. And next week, as little sneak peekums, we're talking a little bit about better art supplies does not make you a better artist.
Unless.
And planning out commission pages and making sure you get paid.
Yeah. Money.
And as always, if you guys have any questions, any articles, any birthday suggestions, or any just general art questions, give us a little shout at aestheticacademypodcast@gmail.com, as well as our social medias, linked in the description below. Any other closing thoughts, fellas?
There's this paint in front of me and it looks really tasty.
No. Hold off. I gotta put your little art pill in that.
Oh, okay.
The vet said you have to take one a day.
Ah. I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna spit it out.
Not if I put a little peanut butter and wrap it in a little bit of cheese.
Oh, dang.
That it becomes virtually indetectable.
I would simply eat around it.
Alright, everyone. You have yourselves a wonderful night. And remember,
Don't
Don't
eat
eat
your
your
paint.